Hey guys. Tonight we begin with something a little different. A trip way back before castles, before empires, before even the first farmer ever looked at a seed and thought, I could probably put that in the ground. We're diving into the world of our earliest ancestors, the so-called cavemen, a time of mammoths, migrations, and surviving by the skin of your teeth. Forget the cartoons you saw as a kid with happy cave families and dinosaur pets. The truth? You probably wouldn't last the afternoon. So, before you get too cozy, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this strange little corner of quiet storytelling. And drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's strangely comforting to know who else is drifting off with us around the world. Now get comfortable, let the day melt away, and we'll drift back together into the quiet corners of the past. Congratulations, you've just woken up 0 years ago. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? So is everything else, and most of it wants to eat you. Your bed is a patch of cold, damp dirt, probably at the back of a cave that smells like a mix of old smoke, wet fur, and the faint but distinct aroma of generations of unresolved bathroom issues. There are no pillows, no blankets, and definitely no memory foam mattress. Just a pile of dried grasses and maybe the hide of some animal your uncle managed to stab last week. It's lumpy. It's crawling with things you'd rather not identify, and it offers all the comfort of sleeping on a bag of rocks. You blink awake not to a gentle alarm, but to the sound of your own teeth chattering. The cave is a cold, black mouth gaping open to a world that hasn't invented central heating or even walls that fully connect. You're huddled together with about 20 other people, your entire world, your family, your clan. It's a single writhing pile of humanity where personal space is a concept that won't be invented for another 39,000 years. You feel the warmth of your cousin's back on one side and the cold, wet nose of a half-wild dog on the other. The air is thick enough to chew, filled with the smoke from last night's dying fire, the smell of unwashed bodies, and the lingering fear that something with very large teeth is sniffing around the entrance. Your home isn't a cozy den. It's a strategic position, a defensible hole in a rock that offers marginal protection from the wind and the things that prowl in the dark. You stretch, a slow, painful movement, because your muscles are perpetually sore from walking 10 miles yesterday on an empty stomach, and your joints ache with a dampness that never leaves. You're maybe 22 years old, which in prehistoric terms means you're a seasoned adult who has already survived more than half the people you were born with. Welcome to Morning in the Stone Age, where survival isn't a goal, it's a full-time job with no weekends, no sick days, and a retirement plan that usually involves a saber-toothed cat. And this is just the beginning. The real work hasn't even started yet. It only gets worse from here. So you've managed to crawl out from the human puppy pile that is your family's sleeping arrangement. Now what? First things first, nature calls. And it's not a polite suggestion. It's an urgent biological command that has no respect for your comfort or dignity. There's no bathroom, no toilet, no running water, not even a designated hole in the ground. You just stumble to a corner of the cave that everyone has silently agreed is the less bad corner, or you venture a few feet outside the cave entrance, hoping a cave lion isn't waiting there to turn your morning constitutional into its morning meal. Hygiene as a concept doesn't exist. You wipe with a handful of leaves, if you're lucky, or nothing at all. Hand sanitizer is 40 millennia away, and the local water source, the same stream everything drinks from and dies in, is a swirling soup of bacteria that would make a modern doctor faint. So, you don't wash your hands. You probably don't wash anything, ever. The layer of grime on your skin is practically a second wardrobe, and it offers about as much protection from the elements. Now, let's talk about your smile, or what's left of it. You have no toothbrush, no toothpaste, no floss. The best you can do is chew on a fibrous stick to scrape off the bits of yesterday's half-cooked mystery meat. Your teeth are worn down from a gritty diet. Your gums are probably inflamed, and a toothache isn't an inconvenience, it's a potential death sentence. An abscessed tooth can lead to an infection that spreads to your jaw, your blood, your brain, and then you're dead, all because you couldn't floss. And there's no dentist to pull it out, just your cousin Og who thinks hitting it with a rock might work. Spoiler, it won't. The aches and pains are your constant companions. Your back hurts from carrying heavy loads, your feet are covered in cuts and calluses from walking barefoot or in crude animal hide wrappings, and you've probably got a collection of scars that tell stories of near misses with predators, rival tribes, or just a really sharp rock you tripped over. The air you breathe inside the cave is thick with smoke from the fire, a constant irritant to your lungs, leading to a chronic cough that everyone in the clan shares like a family heirloom. In this world, a simple cold can turn into pneumonia, a small cut can fester into a raging infection, and a broken leg is a death sentence. You can't hunt, you can't run, you become a burden. And in a world where every calorie counts, burdens don't last long. Your simple life is a daily battle against infection, injury, and the slow grinding decay of your own body. You're not living, you're just not dead yet. And the line between the two is terrifyingly thin every single morning. This existence is a constant, low-level thrum of pain and discomfort, a state of being so normal you've forgotten what it feels like to be truly well. So you've relieved yourself in a bush and chewed on a stick for breakfast. Now it's time to actually eat. You've probably heard of the paleo diet, this modern fantasy of lean, grass-fed bison, juicy wild berries, and a perfectly balanced intake of nuts and seeds, as if our ancestors were casually shopping at a prehistoric Whole Foods. Let's be clear, the real paleo diet was brutal, desperate, and often disgusting. There are no 3 square meals a day. There are days with food and days without. Today might be one of the days without. Your stomach is a hollow pit, and the hunger is a dull ache that never really leaves. If you're lucky, there are leftovers from yesterday. What's a leftover? A gnawed-on bone with a few scraps of sinew still clinging to it, or a handful of half-rotten berries someone found near the stream. You chew on the bone until your jaw aches, sucking out the marrow for its precious fat. It's not a meal, it's a calorie deposit. If there are no leftovers, the day's work begins immediately. You don't eat before you hunt or gather. You hunt or gather so you can eat. Your breakfast is the hope of dinner. What's on the menu? Whatever you can find. That could be roots dug out of the hard, frozen ground, which you'll chew on raw, their gritty, fibrous texture, a workout for your already worn-down teeth. It could be insects. Yes, insects. Grubs, ants, termites. They're a reliable source of protein, and you learn quickly which ones won't poison you. It could be a bird's egg, stolen from a nest while its mother squawks in fury. It could be a frog, a lizard, or a fish you manage to spear in a shallow creek. Most of the time, it's plants. The women of the clan, the true providers, are out for hours. Their encyclopedic knowledge of the local flora, the only thing standing between the clan and starvation. They know which leaves are edible, which roots are toxic, which berries will kill you, and which will just make you wish you were dead for a few hours. They come back with baskets woven from reeds, filled with a meager haul of tubers, nuts, and maybe some wild greens. This isn't a fresh, vibrant salad. It's a tough, bitter, and often unsatisfying collection of calories. And meat is a lottery. It's a rare, glorious event that is celebrated with the ferocity of a modern Super Bowl victory, but it's not a daily occurrence. The idea of a perfectly grilled mammoth steak is a fiction. The reality of prehistoric eating was a constant, desperate, and often losing battle against starvation, where success was measured not in flavor, but in survival. Now, let's talk about the hunt. The pop culture image is a group of heroic, bare-chested men charging a woolly mammoth with perfectly sharpened spears, bringing it down in a glorious display of courage and skill. Right? Wrong. The reality of a prehistoric hunt was a terrifying, high-stakes gamble that more often than not ended in failure, injury, or death. First of all, you're not hunting a mammoth. Not unless there are 30 of you, a cliff, and a whole lot of divine intervention. Mammoths, woolly rhinos, and cave bears were the apex predators of their time. They were walking mountains of muscle, tusk, and fury. You didn't hunt them, you avoided them. A direct confrontation with a mammoth was suicide. Your primary targets were smaller, more manageable, but still incredibly dangerous animals. Deer, bison, wild boar, horses, and you're not chasing them down with a single, perfectly thrown spear. Your weapons are crude and inefficient. You have a wooden spear with a sharpened, fire-hardened tip, or if you're technologically advanced, a piece of sharpened flint lashed to the end with animal sinew. It's not a precision instrument, it's a pointy stick. The hunt begins not with a charge, but with tracking, days of it. You follow footprints, broken twigs, and faint scents across miles of unforgiving terrain. You're hungry, you're cold, and every step is a risk. A twisted ankle can be a death sentence out here. You're not just the hunter, you're also the hunted. Cave lions, packs of wolves, and other predators are always watching, and a small, isolated group of humans looks like an easy meal. If you finally locate your prey, the real danger begins. You can't just run up and stab it. A cornered deer can gut you with its antlers. A wild boar can gore you with its tusks. Your strategy isn't brute force, it's exhaustion and opportunity. You chase the animal for hours, sometimes days, trying to drive it into a trap, over a cliff, or into a marsh where it will be slowed down. It's a battle of endurance, and you're running on empty. If you get a chance to strike, it's a frantic, chaotic affair. You and your hunting party, close in, jabbing with spears, throwing rocks, trying to inflict enough wounds to bring the animal down. It's bloody, it's messy, and it's terrifyingly close. The animal screams, it thrashes, and you pray you don't get trampled or gored in its death throes. And if you succeed, the work has just begun. Now you have to butcher a 1,000-pound carcass with stone tools and carry the meat back to the cave before scavengers arrive. The success of a hunt isn't a guarantee of a feast. It's a brief reprieve from starvation, bought with blood, sweat, and a level of risk that would make any modern person run back to the safety of a grocery store. While the men were out on their high-risk, low-reward hunting expeditions, the real consistent work of keeping the clan alive fell to the women. Forget the stereotype of the passive cave woman waiting by the fire for a man to bring home a steak. The women of the Stone Age were the true backbone of the community, the scientists, nutritionists, and logistics experts of their time. Their work wasn't as glamorous as a mammoth hunt, but it was infinitely more important. Every day, the women would venture out from the cave, often with children in tow, to gather. This wasn't a casual stroll through the woods. This was a high-stakes operation that required an encyclopedic knowledge of botany, passed down through generations. They knew which plants were edible, which were medicinal, and which were deadly. They could distinguish between dozens of different roots, berries, nuts, and greens. They knew the seasons, when certain plants would be ripe, and where to find them. This knowledge was the clan's primary food security. While a hunt might fail for weeks on end, the gatherers almost always came back with something. Their tools were simple but effective: a digging stick to unearth roots, a stone knife to cut stems, and a basket woven from reeds, or a pouch made from animal hide to carry their haul. They worked for hours, walking miles, their eyes scanning the landscape for the subtle signs of an edible plant. They were constantly aware of their surroundings, watching for predators, and teaching their children as they went. This berry is safe. This one will make you sick. This leaf will stop bleeding. This was prehistoric education, and it was a matter of life and death. The food they gathered wasn't a gourmet feast. It was often tough, fibrous, and required extensive preparation. They had to pound nuts with rocks to crack them open, grind tough roots into a digestible paste, and leach toxins out of certain plants by soaking them in water. This was slow, laborious work, done with a level of patience that is almost unimaginable today. They were also the clan's doctors. They knew which herbs could soothe a fever, which mosses could be used as wound dressings, and which barks could be chewed to relieve pain. Their knowledge of the natural world was profound and practical. In a world without agriculture, the gatherers were the ones who ensured there was always a baseline of calories, a buffer against the constant threat of starvation. The hunters might have brought home the occasional prize, but the gatherers brought home consistency. They were the steady, reliable engine of survival, and without their quiet daily labor, no clan would have made it through a single lean season. They weren't just supporting the hunters were supplementing them. Let's talk about your toolkit. In the Stone Age, you don't have a garage full of power tools or a handy multi-tool in your pocket. Your entire existence is shaped, and often saved, by a few pounds of sharpened rock. And making these tools isn't a hobby, it's one of the most essential and dangerous skills you can learn. The primary material is flint, or a similar hard, brittle stone. Finding a good source of flint is like finding gold. A clan might travel for days to reach a known quarry. Once you have the raw material, the real work begins. This is called flint knapping, and it's an art form born of brutal precision. You take a larger stone, a hammer stone, and you strike the flint nodule at just the right angle, with just the right amount of force. A good strike will flake off a sharp, razor-edged piece of stone. A bad strike will shatter the nodule, wasting a precious resource, or worse, send a shard of flint flying into your eye, blinding you for life. There's no safety glass. Every strike is a risk. You spend hours sitting on the cold ground, hunched over, striking rock against rock. Your hands are a mess of cuts and calluses. Your knees ache from squatting. Your eyes water from the dust. But you persist, because without these tools you are helpless. From these flakes you create your entire arsenal. A hand axe, a teardrop-shaped piece of flint, is your all-purpose tool. You use it to chop wood, butcher animals, and dig for roots. It's not efficient, it's clumsy and heavy, but it's better than your bare hands. You create scrapers to clean animal hides, burins to engrave bone, and spearheads to tip your hunting weapons. Each tool is crafted for a specific purpose, a testament to a mind that is thinking, planning, and innovating. The blades you create are incredibly sharp, sharper than modern steel in some cases, but they are also incredibly brittle. A spearhead might shatter on impact with bone. A knife might break while you're trying to cut through a tough hide. Your tools are disposable, which means you are constantly making new ones. It's a never-ending cycle of creation and destruction. And this technology, as simple as it seems, is what separates you from the animals. It allows you to process food, create clothing, and defend yourself. Your brain and your ability to shape the world with these simple stone tools are the only advantages you have in a world that is bigger, stronger, and faster than you in every other way. Your toolkit isn't a collection of objects. It's the physical manifestation of human ingenuity, and every sharp edge is a victory against the chaos. The cave. In our modern imagination, it's a cozy, firelit home, a prehistoric living room where the family gathers. The reality is far grimmer. The cave is not a home. It's a strategic, often miserable compromise. It's a fortress, a shelter, and a prison, all rolled into one. First, let's talk about the location. You don't just pick any hole in a rock. You need a cave that is defensible, preferably with a high vantage point to see predators or rivals coming. It needs to be dry enough not to flood every time it rains, but close enough to a water source to be practical. It also can't already be occupied by something that wants to eat you, like a cave bear or a pack of hyenas. Finding a good cave is a major life event, and once you have it, you defend it with your life. Inside, it's not a home. It's a single, smoky, crowded room that you share with 24 other people and a few semi-domesticated dogs. There is no privacy. None. Every conversation is public, every argument is a group activity, and every bodily function is performed within earshot of everyone else. The floor is compacted dirt, layered with the debris of generations. Animal bones, stone fragments, discarded food, and filth. Someone might lay down some dried grass or animal hides to sleep on, but these are breeding grounds for fleas, lice, and other parasites that are your constant itching companions. The air is the worst part. The fire, which is essential for warmth and protection, is also slowly killing you. With no proper chimney, the smoke fills the cave, stinging your eyes, coating the walls with soot, and filling your lungs with toxic fumes. The constant exposure leads to respiratory problems, eye infections, and a life spent with a hacking cough. It's dark. The only light comes from the fire and the mouth of the cave. The back of the cave is a place of perpetual twilight, a place where things get lost, where spirits are thought to linger, and where you're likely to trip over your sleeping grandmother. It's also damp. Water seeps through the rock, making the air cold and clammy, and promoting the growth of mold. The cave is a paradox. It's your only shield against the brutal world outside, but it's also a dark, unhealthy, and claustrophobic space that slowly grinds you down. It's the place you are safest, and yet it is also a major source of your daily suffering. It is not a place of comfort. It is a place of survival, and the price of that survival is paid with every smoky breath you take. In the center of your cold, dark, and dangerous world, there is one thing that holds back the chaos: fire. Fire is not a convenience. It is life itself. It is warmth, light, protection, and the single greatest piece of technology your people possess, and you do not take it for granted for a single second. Making fire is not as simple as striking a match. It is a difficult, time-consuming, and often frustrating process that requires skill, patience, and the right materials. One method is the fire drill, where you rapidly spin a wooden stick in a notch on another piece of wood. The friction generates heat, which eventually creates a glowing ember. You then have to carefully transfer that ember to a bundle of dry tinder grass, moss, or shredded bark and gently blow on it until it bursts into flame. It can take forever. Your arms will ache, and if your tinder is even slightly damp, it won't work. Another method is striking flint against a piece of iron pyrite, which creates a spark. It's faster, but it requires having the right kinds of rocks, which aren't always available. Because making fire is so difficult, keeping it alive is a sacred duty. You don't let the fire go out, ever. Someone is always assigned to be the firekeeper, a role of immense responsibility. They feed it wood. They bank the embers at night under a layer of ash to keep them glowing until morning, and they protect it from rain and wind. If the fire goes out, it's a catastrophe. You lose your warmth, your light, your ability to cook meat, and your primary defense against predators. A dead fire in the middle of a winter night could mean the death of the entire clan. The fire is the heart of the cave. It's where you gather for warmth, where you cook your food, where you tell stories, and where you work on your tools. The light of the fire pushes back the terrifying darkness, creating a small, flickering circle of safety in a world filled with things that hunt in the night. Predators like cave lions and wolves are wary of fire, so it acts as a protective barrier at the mouth of the cave. It's also a tool. You use fire to harden the tips of your wooden spears, making them more effective weapons. You use it to cook meat, which not only makes it easier to digest, but also kills parasites and bacteria, a crucial advantage in a world without medicine. The fire is more than just a chemical reaction. It's a living entity, a member of the clan. It's a demanding, smoky, and sometimes dangerous companion, but without it, human life in the Stone Age would be all but impossible. It is the bright, warm center of your universe, and you guard it with your life, because it is your life. Your daily life isn't a peaceful communion with nature. It's a constant, nerve-wracking exercise in not getting eaten. The world of the Pleistocene is not a gentle, empty wilderness. It's a land of giants, a place teeming with megafauna, and you are very, very far from the top of the food chain. Forget the deer and boar you hunt. They are the least of your worries. The real terror comes on four legs, with teeth the size of your fingers and claws that can rip you apart with a single swipe. Let's start with the saber-toothed cat, or Smilodon. This isn't a slightly bigger tiger. This is a killing machine with 9-inch canine teeth, built like a bear, and capable of taking down prey many times its size. They hunt by ambush, and you are on their menu. Every time you leave the cave, you are scanning the tall grasses, the thickets, the shadows, for a hint of their presence. One moment of inattention, and it's over. Then there's the cave lion, a beast significantly larger than a modern African lion. It's fast, it's powerful, and it's not afraid of you. It might not actively hunt your clan, but it will certainly attack if it feels threatened, if you get too close to its kill, or if it's just hungry and you look easy. You don't fight a cave lion. You run, you hide, and you pray it loses interest. And let's not forget the cave bear. This is not a cuddly cartoon character. The cave bear was enormous, bigger than a modern grizzly, and while it was primarily a herbivore, it was also territorial and extremely aggressive. Your biggest problem? It likes caves. The same caves you want to live in. Competing for shelter with a 1-ton bear with 4-inch claws is a bad career move. Many early humans likely died trying to claim or defend a cave from its original, furry, and very angry inhabitant. Even the herbivores are dangerous. A woolly mammoth, while not a predator, is a walking mountain that can trample your entire clan without a second thought if it's startled or angry. A herd of stampeding bison can crush you under their hooves. A woolly rhino, with its massive horn and bad temper, will charge anything that moves. You are a small, soft, slow creature in a world of giants. Your only defenses are your intelligence, your fire, and your ability to work together. You move in groups, you make noise, and you learn to read the signs of the wild. A flock of birds suddenly taking flight could mean a predator is near. A sudden silence in the forest is a warning. Survival isn't just about finding food. It's about not becoming food. Every day is a tightrope walk over a pit of very large, very hungry animals, and you never, ever look down. You might think that in a world so vast and sparsely populated, the greatest threat would be the giant, toothy animals. You'd be wrong. One of the most dangerous things you can encounter in the Stone Age is another human. The idea of the peaceful, noble savage, living in harmony with nature and their fellow man, is a modern fantasy. The reality was likely much closer to a constant, low-level state of suspicion, competition, and occasional brutal violence. Resources are scarce. A good hunting ground, a reliable source of fresh water, a flint quarry, a defensible cavithes are not things you share willingly. Your clan, your family of 20 to 30 people, is your entire world. Everyone else is a stranger, and strangers are a threat. They are competition for the same limited food and shelter. When you encounter another group of humans, the meeting is tense. You don't greet them with open arms. You watch them from a distance, weapons ready. You assess their numbers, their strength, their intentions. Are they just passing through? Are they eyeing your territory? Do they look hungry and desperate? Because a hungry, desperate clan will do anything to survive, including trying to take what's yours. Violence, when it happens, is swift and personal. There are no armies, no battle lines. It's a chaotic, brutal skirmish with clubs, spears, and rocks. The goal isn't conquest, it's extermination or expulsion. You drive the other group away from the resource, or you kill them. There is archaeological evidence of this grim reality. Skulls with healed and unhealed fractures from blunt force trauma, spear points embedded in ancient skeletons, and mass graves that suggest entire groups were wiped out. Even within your own clan, life isn't always harmonious. Tensions over food, mates, or leadership can simmer and explode. A strong leader might maintain order, but that leadership can be challenged at any time. A moment of weakness, a failed hunt, a bad decision, and someone else might step up to take your place, often violently. Trust is a rare and precious commodity, reserved only for your closest kin. For everyone else, the default setting is fear. You are not part of a global human family. You are part of a small, isolated band of survivors, and your primary loyalty is to your own group. In this world, the other is not a friend you haven't met yet. They are a potential enemy who could steal your food, your cave, and your life. The greatest danger in the wilderness isn't the lion or the bear. It's the creature that thinks, plans, and kills just like you. In a world where the temperature can drop below freezing for months on end, staying warm is a matter of life and death. And you don't have down jackets or thermal underwear. You have animal skins. And they are not the soft, supple leather you see in movies. They are stiff, smelly, and a massive amount of work to produce. So, you've managed to kill a deer or a bison. Congratulations. The first part of your job is over. Now, you have to turn its skin into something you can wear. The process begins with skinning the animal, a messy, bloody job that you do with a sharp flint knife. You have to be careful not to puncture the hide, as every hole is a weak point that will let in the cold. Once you have the hide, you have to clean it. You scrape off all the remaining flesh, fat, and sinew with a stone scraper. It's a greasy, disgusting task that can take hours. If you leave any fat on the hide, it will rot. After scraping, you have to treat the hide to make it pliable. One common method is brain tanning. Yes, you use the animal's own brain. You mash it into a paste, often mixed with water or even urine, and you rub it deep into the hide. The fatty acids and enzymes in the brain help to break down the fibers and soften the leather. It's a smelly, stomach-churning process, but it works. Then, you have to stretch the hide. You lace it into a wooden frame and let it dry, but not too quickly. You have to constantly work it, stretching and pulling it to keep it from becoming as stiff as a board. This is exhausting, repetitive work. Finally, you smoke the hide over a fire. The smoke helps to preserve it and make it more water-resistant. The result? A piece of buckskin or leather that is still pretty stiff, still smells like a combination of dead animal and smoke, but will keep you from freezing to death. You don't have needles and thread to sew these hides together. You use a bone awl to punch holes in the leather and then lace them together with strips of sinew. Your clothing is not tailored. It's a crude assemblage of hides wrapped around your body, a tunic, leggings, and maybe a cloak. It's heavy, it's cumbersome, and it's not very waterproof. When it gets wet, it becomes even heavier and takes forever to dry. But it's the difference between surviving a blizzard and becoming a frozen statue on the tundra. Your clothes aren't a fashion statement. They are a tool, a piece of essential survival gear that you literally have to create from the bloody carcass of a dead animal. In the flickering firelight of your damp, smoky cave, you do more than just eat and sleep. You create. On the rough, uneven walls of your shelter, you and your kin leave behind a legacy that will baffle and inspire people 40 years later. Cave art. This isn't just doodling to pass the time. This is something far more profound, an act of ritual, magic, and storytelling that connects your world to the world of spirits. The process itself is a ritual. You have to venture deep into the cave, far from the living area, into the dark, silent, and often dangerous inner chambers. These places are not easily accessible. You might have to crawl through tight passages, climb down steep drops, or navigate a maze of tunnels, all by the dim, flickering light of an animal fat lamp. The very act of reaching these hidden galleries is a journey, a separation from the mundane world. The paints you use are made from the earth itself. You grind minerals to create your palette. Red and yellow ochre from iron oxides, black from charcoal or manganese dioxide. You mix these pigments with a binder, perhaps animal fat, blood, saliva, or egg yolk, to create a paint that will adhere to the stone walls. You apply the paint with your fingers, with brushes made from animal hair or twigs, or by blowing the pigment through a hollow bone to create a stenciled effect, often around your own hand, leaving a ghostly signature on the wall. I was here. What do you paint? You paint the world that matters to you. Herds of bison, horses, mammoths, and deer thunder across the cave walls. These are not simple stick figures. They are rendered with a stunning naturalism, capturing the movement, power, and essence of the animals. You paint them in motion, sometimes with spears flying towards them, as if to capture the magic of the hunt. Is this a way of ensuring a successful hunt, a form of sympathetic magic where painting the act will make it come true? Or is it a record of a past success, a story told in pictures for those who will come after? Or perhaps it's a form of worship, a tribute to the spirits of the animals that give you life. You also paint symbols, dots, lines, geometric shapes, and the aforementioned hand stencils. These abstract marks are even more mysterious. Are they maps, calendars, clan symbols, or the records of shamanic visions? Some scholars believe these paintings were created by shamans in a trance state, depicting their journeys into the spirit world. The animals are not just animals. They are spirit guides, gods, or visions from another dimension. Whatever their purpose, these paintings transform the cave from a simple shelter into a sacred space, a cathedral of the Stone Age. They are a testament to a mind that is not just surviving, but thinking, dreaming, and trying to make sense of a mysterious and often terrifying world. In a world without books, schools, or the internet, knowledge is the most valuable currency, and the elders of the clan are its living libraries. But their role is a cruel paradox. They are both revered and a potential liability. An elder is anyone who has managed to survive past the age of 30, a feat in itself. They are a repository of wisdom, the ones who have seen more seasons, more hunts, and more disasters than anyone else. They are the storytellers, the historians, and the strategists. The elder who leads the hunt, let's call him Gore, remembers the migration patterns of the bison from a decade ago. He knows where to find water in a dry season because he remembers a hidden spring from his youth. His knowledge is the difference between a successful hunt and a week of starvation. An elderly woman, perhaps Ishka, is the clan's botanist and doctor. She holds in her mind the vast catalog of edible and medicinal plants. She knows how to treat a fever with willow bark, how to pack a wound with a specific moss to prevent infection, and how to help a mother through a difficult birth. Her experience has saved countless lives. The elders are also the teachers. They instruct the young in the essential skills of survival: how to knap flint without losing a finger, how to track an animal, how to read the weather in the clouds. They pass down the clan's stories, myths, and traditions around the fire at night, weaving a sense of identity and continuity that binds the group together. But there is a dark side to aging in the Stone Age. When an elder's body begins to fail, they can become a burden. When Gore's legs grow too weak to keep up with the hunt, or Ishka's eyes grow too dim to distinguish the good berries from the poisonous ones, their value to the clan diminishes. In a world where every individual must contribute to the group's survival, a person who can no longer hunt, gather, or work becomes another mouth to feed, a drain on precious resources. The decision of what to do with a frail elder is a brutal one. In times of plenty, they might be cared for, their wisdom still valued, even as their bodies weaken. But in times of famine, or during a long, hard migration, a difficult choice might have to be made. Some archaeological evidence suggests that the very old or infirm might have been left behind, a heartbreaking but necessary sacrifice for the survival of the rest of the clan. To be an elder in the Stone Age is to walk a tightrope between being the most respected member of the community and being its most vulnerable. Your mind is your greatest asset, but your body is a ticking clock. The concept of a carefree childhood, a time of play and innocence, is a luxury that does not exist in your world. Childhood in the Stone Age is a short, brutal apprenticeship for a life of hardship. and the odds are stacked against you from the moment you are born. Infant mortality is staggeringly high. Nearly half of all children will not survive to see their 5th birthday. Disease, malnutrition, accidents, and predators claim them with terrifying regularity. A simple fever, a bout of diarrhea, or a fall can be fatal. The clan mourns, but life moves on. There is no time for prolonged grief when survival is a daily struggle. If you do survive those first few perilous years, your education begins immediately. There are no toys, no games in the modern sense. Your play is a rehearsal for survival. You learn by observing and imitating your elders. A young boy follows his father and the other hunters, not yet participating but watching. He learns to be silent, to read tracks, to understand the behavior of animals. He is given a small, dull spear and taught how to throw it at a target. His games are a form of training. A young girl follows her mother and the other women on their gathering trips. She learns to identify plants, to dig for roots, and to carry a small basket. She learns which mushrooms will kill her and which berries are safe. This is not a fun nature walk. It's a lesson in applied botany where a single mistake can be your last. By the age of 7 or 8, you are no longer just an observer. You are a contributor. You are expected to help with tasks around the cave, fetching water, gathering firewood, tending the fire, and helping to process food. You are learning the skills that will one day make you a valuable member of the clan. The world is your classroom, and every lesson is hands-on and often dangerous. You learn to swim in a cold, fast-moving river. You learn to climb a rocky cliff to reach a bird's nest. You learn to be wary of the shadows where predators lurk. Fear is a constant companion, but it is also a teacher. It keeps you alert. It keeps you alive. There is little room for sentimentality. You are not coddled or praised. You are corrected, often harshly. A moment of carelessness could endanger not just you, but the entire group. Childhood is not a time of freedom. It's a period of intense, accelerated learning. You grow up fast, or you don't grow up at all. By the time you reach adolescence, you are already a skilled survivor, your hands calloused, your mind sharp, and your innocence a distant, forgotten memory. The traditional image of Stone Age society often places men at the center, the mighty hunter, the brave warrior, the strong leader. But this is a skewed and incomplete picture. While men's contributions were vital, it was the women who formed the stable, consistent core of the community, and their roles were far more diverse and powerful than we often imagine. First and foremost, women were the primary food providers. As we've discussed, the daily gathering of plants, roots, nuts, and insects provided the bulk of the clan's diet. This wasn't just manual labor, it was a scientific endeavor. Women possessed a deep generational knowledge of botany and ecology. They were the ones who ensured the clan had a steady food source, buffering them against the frequent failures of the hunt. Their contribution was not supplemental, it was fundamental. Beyond gathering, women were also the manufacturers and engineers of the domestic sphere. They were the ones who processed animal hides, turning them into clothing, shelters, and containers. This was a complex, multi-step process requiring skill and strength. They wove baskets, made pottery, and crafted tools from bone and wood. They were the ones who managed the fire, prepared the food, and maintained the living space in the cave. Their labor was the infrastructure that made daily life possible. Women were also the healers and the spiritual leaders in many cases. Their knowledge of medicinal plants made them the clan's doctors. They tended to the sick, dressed wounds, and assisted with childbirth, one of the most dangerous events in a woman's life. Many scholars believe that it was women who were the first shamans, the first to connect with the spirit world. The famous Venus figurines, with their exaggerated female features, suggest a deep reverence for fertility and the life-giving power of women. The hand stencils found in many caves are often those of women, indicating they were active participants, if not leaders, in the creation of sacred art. While men's lives were often defined by the high-risk, high-prestige activity of hunting, women's lives were defined by a different kind of strength: endurance, knowledge, and consistency. They were the keepers of the hearth, the teachers of the young, and the anchors of the community. In a world of constant uncertainty, they were the force that held the clan together, ensuring its survival not through spectacular acts of bravery, but through the quiet, relentless, and essential work of making a life in the wilderness. Their power was not in the spear, but in the basket, the needle, and the knowledge passed from mother to daughter. In your world, there are no doctors, no hospitals, no antibiotics. There is only pain, infection, and a desperate hope that your body can heal itself. Medicine in the Stone Age is a combination of practical knowledge, herbal remedies, and a heavy dose of magical thinking. When you get sick or injured, your chances of survival are slim. Let's say you get a deep cut while butchering an animal. There is no way to sterilize the wound. You might wash it in the stream, but the water itself is full of bacteria. The best you can do is pack it with something. The women of the clan, the healers, might use a specific type of moss, which we now know has antiseptic properties. Or they might apply a poultice of chewed leaves or tree sap. Sometimes this works. More often, it doesn't. The wound becomes infected. It swells, turns red, and fills with pus. A fever sets in. You become delirious. The healer might perform a ritual, chanting over you, trying to drive out the evil spirit that has entered your body, but there is no medicine to fight the infection. It spreads through your bloodstream, a condition we call sepsis, and you die. A simple cut has killed you. Broken bones are even more terrifying. If you break a leg, there is no way to set it properly. The clan might try to splint it with sticks and animal hides, but you are completely immobilized. You cannot hunt, you cannot gather, you cannot even flee from danger. You are a burden. If the clan is stationary and has enough food, you might survive, though your leg will heal crooked, leaving you with a permanent limp. If the clan is on the move, you will be left behind. It's a brutal but necessary calculation for the group's survival. Internal illnesses are a complete mystery. A stomach ache, a fever, a persistent cough, these are signs that an evil spirit or a curse has taken hold. The shaman might perform a ceremony, shaking a rattle, dancing, and entering a trance to battle the spirit in the other world. Or they might try a more direct approach, a practice called trepanation. This involves drilling a hole in your skull to release the evil spirit. It sounds barbaric, but archaeological evidence shows that many people survived this procedure, as the bone shows signs of healing. Still, brain surgery with a sharp rock is not a promising medical intervention. For every minor ailment that might be soothed by a herbal tea, there are a dozen major ones that are an automatic death sentence. Appendicitis, a heart attack, cancer, these are swift and inexplicable killers. You live with the constant knowledge that your body is fragile and that the world is full of invisible threats. Your best hope is not to get sick in the first place, because in the Stone Age, the only reliable cure is a strong immune system and a whole lot of luck. The weather is not a topic of small talk. It is an active and often malevolent force that dictates every aspect of your life. You are completely exposed to the elements, and a change in the weather can mean the difference between a full belly and a frozen grave. You live in the grip of the Ice Age. The world is colder and drier than it is today. Glaciers cover vast parts of the continent, and the landscape is a windswept tundra or a sparse, cold forest. Summer is a brief, precious season of relative warmth and abundance. This is the time for hunting, gathering, and stocking up on resources. The days are long, the plants are in bloom, and the animals are plentiful, but you know it won't last. Autumn is a race against time. The air grows colder, the days shorter. The clan works frantically to gather the last of the nuts and berries, to smoke and dry meat from the final hunts, and to reinforce the cave for the coming ordeal. A sense of urgency hangs in the air. Winter is the great enemy. It is a season of darkness, hunger, and death. The temperature plummets, and blizzards can rage for days, trapping you inside the cave. The animals have migrated or are hibernating. The plants are dead or buried under snow. Your food supplies dwindle with terrifying speed. You ration every bite, gnawing on frozen, dried meat and the last of the stored roots. Hunger is a constant, gnawing presence. The cold is relentless. It seeps into the cave, into your clothes, into your bones. You huddle around the fire, wrapped in every animal hide you own. But you are never truly warm. Frostbite is a constant danger. You might lose fingers or toes, or worse. Many of the old and the very young will not survive the winter. They succumb to cold, starvation, or the diseases that thrive in the cramped, smoky confines of the cave. When a storm hits, the world outside disappears into a white chaos of wind and snow. The sound is a deafening roar, and the fear is palpable. Will the fire go out? Will a predator, desperate for food, brave the storm and find your shelter? You can do nothing but wait, listening to the storm's fury and praying for it to end. The weather is not a backdrop to your life. It is the main character, a powerful and capricious God that can grant you a season of plenty or condemn you to a slow, freezing death. You don't just watch the weather. You read it, you fear it, and you respect its absolute power. In a world without writing, your voice is everything. Language is not just a tool for communication. It is the vessel that holds your culture, your history, your knowledge, and your identity. But what did it sound like? How did you speak? The exact languages of the Stone Age are lost to time, but we can infer a great deal about them. It was not a series of simple grunts and gestures, as cartoons would have you believe. The complexity of your life, the detailed knowledge of plants and animals, the intricate social relationships, the coordinated hunting strategies, the abstract thought required for art and ritual, all of this points to a sophisticated and nuanced language. You have words for different types of snow, for the subtle changes in the color of the sky that predict the weather, for the specific tracks left by a dozen different animals. Your language is rich with practical, descriptive terms that are essential for survival. You also have a language for the social world. You have words for kinship, for obligation, for friendship, and for insult. You can tell jokes, share gossip, and argue about who gets the best piece of meat. Language is what allows you to negotiate, to cooperate, and to maintain the delicate social balance of the clan. Without it, the group would collapse into chaos. Storytelling is at the heart of your communication. Around the fire at night, the elders recount the tales of your ancestors, the myths of creation, the legends of great hunts and epic journeys. These stories are not just entertainment, they are your history books, your religious texts, and your moral compass. They teach you who you are, where you come from, and how you are expected to live. The language is likely very different from modern tongues. It might have clicks, tones, or guttural sounds that we would find difficult to replicate. Its grammar might be structured in ways that reflect a different worldview, perhaps with less emphasis on the individual I and more on the collective we. But make no mistake, it is a fully developed language, capable of expressing complex and abstract ideas, and gesture is still a vital part of communication. A hand signal can convey a warning during a hunt without making a sound. A facial expression can communicate a social cue across a crowded cave. Your body and your voice work together in a rich tapestry of meaning. In a world where the only record is human memory, language is the thread that stitches the past to the present and the present to the future. It is a fragile and powerful magic, and every word spoken is an act of creation. Your world is not just a physical landscape of rocks, trees, and animals. It is also a vibrant and often terrifying spiritual landscape. You do not see a separation between the natural and the supernatural. Everything is alive with spirit, purpose, and power. This belief system, often called animism, is the lens through which you view the world. The river is not just a source of water. It has a spirit that can be generous or angry. The mountain is not just a pile of rock. It is a powerful being that must be respected. The animals you hunt are not just meat. They possess spirits that must be honored. Before a hunt, you might perform a ritual, asking the spirit of the bison for its permission and forgiveness. After a kill, you might offer a prayer of thanks, ensuring that its spirit will be reborn. The cave paintings might be a part of this spiritual contract, a way of connecting with and influencing the spirits of the animal world. At the center of your spiritual life is the shaman. The shaman is not a priest in the modern sense. They are a mediator, a traveler between worlds. They are the one who can enter a trance state, often induced by rhythmic drumming, chanting, or hallucinogenic plants, and journey into the spirit world. In this other reality, they can communicate with spirits, heal the sick, predict the future, or retrieve a lost soul. The shaman's journey is a dangerous one, filled with powerful and often monstrous beings, but it is essential for the well-being of the clan. Your understanding of life and death is also deeply spiritual. Death is not an end. It is a transition to another place. This is why you bury your dead with care. You place them in a specific position, often curled up as if sleeping, and you surround them with grave goods, their tools, their ornaments, and sometimes offerings of food. You might sprinkle their bodies with red ochre, the color of blood and life, to ensure their rebirth in the other world. These burial rituals are not just acts of mourning. They are practical steps to ensure the deceased has a safe journey and does not return as a malevolent ghost. You live in a world filled with taboos, omens, and rituals. A certain animal might be forbidden to eat. A particular place in the forest might be considered sacred and off-limits. You wear amulets made of bone, teeth, or shells to protect you from evil spirits. Your life is governed by a complex set of spiritual rules that dictate how you interact with the world around you. This spiritual world is not a comforting one. It is full of powerful, unpredictable, and often dangerous forces. But it also gives your life meaning, purpose, and a sense of connection to the vast, mysterious cosmos. You are not a sedentary creature. Your entire existence is defined by movement. You are a nomad, a wanderer on a vast and unforgiving landscape, and the concept of a permanent home is utterly alien to you. Your life is a great migration, a relentless journey dictated by the seasons, the climate, and the animals you depend on. You do not wander aimlessly. Your movements are part of a cyclical, well-established pattern. You follow the great herds of bison, reindeer, and wild horses, the walking larders that provide your clan with meat, hides, and bone. You know their migration routes as intimately as you know the lines on your own hand. You know where they will be in the summer, where they will shelter in the winter, and where the best places are to ambush them along the way. Your life is a constant pursuit, a dance of predator and prey on a continental scale. The journey is arduous. You walk for miles every day, carrying everything you own on your backs, your tools, your meager supply of food, your children. You cross rivers, navigate dense forests, and traverse windswept plains. Every step is a challenge. The terrain is rough, the weather is unpredictable, and the danger from predators is constant. You travel in small, mobile groups, your clan. You might have seasonal camps, a familiar cave you return to in the winter, or a temporary shelter you build by a river in the summer. These are not homes, they are waypoints on an endless journey. This nomadic lifestyle requires a different kind of intelligence. You have a highly developed sense of direction, a mental map of a vast territory that you hold in your memory. You can navigate by the sun, the stars, and the subtle features of the landscape. You are also a master of adaptation. You know how to find resources in different environments, how to build a shelter from whatever materials are at hand, and how to survive in a constantly changing world. Why do you move? You move because the resources in any one place are finite. If you stay too long, you will exhaust the local supply of plants and animals. You move because the climate is shifting. The Ice Age is not a static period. Glaciers advance and retreat, and you must follow the habitable zones. You move because of pressure from other human groups, fleeing conflict, or seeking new unoccupied territories. This life of constant movement is physically demanding and mentally taxing. There is no stability, no permanence, no sense of place in the modern sense. Your home is not a location, it is your clan, the small group of people you travel with. You are bound together, not by walls, but by the shared ordeal of the journey. You are a whisper on the wind, a footprint in the mud, a temporary presence in a world that is always in motion. The hunt is not a single event. It is a multi-act drama of desperation, skill, and terror. The first act, and perhaps the most intellectually demanding, is tracking the prey. This is not a simple matter of following obvious footprints in the snow. It is a subtle science of observation and deduction, a language spoken between the hunter and the wilderness. You and your small hunting party leave the relative safety of the cave at dawn, your stomachs empty, your senses on high alert. You are not looking for an animal, you are looking for its story. You find a track in the soft earth. Is it fresh? You feel the edges. Sharp edges mean recent. Rounded edges mean old. What kind of animal? You know the shape and size of the hooves of deer, bison, and horses. You can tell them apart as easily as you can tell your own children apart. How large is the animal? The depth of the track tells you its weight. A deep impression means a large, healthy adult, a prize worth pursuing, but also a more dangerous foe. Is it male or female? Sometimes urine stains or the pattern of the tracks can tell you. You are building a profile of your target before you have even seen it. You follow the trail, your eyes scanning not just the ground, but everything around you. A broken twig, a patch of disturbed leaves, a tuft of fur caught on a thorny bush. These are all clues. You are reading the landscape like a book. The tracks lead to a stream. Does the animal cross here often? Are there signs of other predators nearby? A successful hunt requires not just finding the prey, but also avoiding becoming prey yourself. You listen. The snap of a twig, the cry of a bird, the sudden silence, all of these sounds have meaning. You can hear the approach of danger long before you can see it. You smell the air, the faint, musky scent of a deer, the sharp odor of a predator's territory. Your nose is as important a tool as your spear. This can go on for days. You walk for miles, your focus unwavering, your body running on fumes. You sleep in makeshift shelters, taking turns to keep watch. The tension is constant. Every shadow could be a threat, every sound a warning. This is a battle of wits and endurance. The animal you are tracking is just as smart and just as aware as you are. It knows it is being followed, and it will use all of its cunning to escape. The tracker is not just a hunter. He is a naturalist, a detective, and a psychologist, piecing together a puzzle from the faintest of clues, knowing that a single mistake could mean the difference between a feast and a famine. After days of relentless tracking, you finally have your prey in sight. The second act of the hunt begins, the kill. This is not a moment of heroic glory. It is a desperate, terrifying explosion of controlled chaos. Your heart pounds in your chest, a drum beat against the silence of the wilderness. Adrenaline floods your system, sharpening your senses, but also making your hands tremble. You and your hunting party have managed to corner the animal, perhaps a large bison, driving it towards a natural trap like a narrow ravine or a boggy marsh. There is no room for it to maneuver. It is trapped. But a trapped animal is the most dangerous animal of all. It turns to face you, its eyes wide with fear and rage. Its breath comes in ragged snorts, clouds of vapor in the cold air. It paws the ground, a clear warning. This is the moment of truth. There is no long-range weapon, no rifle to end this from a safe distance. You have to get close, dangerously close. You grip your spear, the fire-hardened wooden shaft slick with your own sweat. Your spearhead, a piece of sharpened flint, seems pitifully small against the massive bulk of the animal. You and your party spread out, forming a semicircle, trying to distract and confuse the beast. Someone throws a rock. The bison flinches, turns its head. That is your opening. You lunge forward, a short, sharp jab aimed at the animal's flank, its neck, anywhere you can inflict a deep wound. The spear goes in. The animal roars, a sound of pain and fury that shakes you to your core. It thrashes wildly, its massive head swinging, its hooves kicking up dirt and stones. You scramble back, trying to avoid being gored or trampled. Another hunter moves in from the other side, then another. It's a deadly dance, a series of quick strikes and retreats. The air is filled with the shouts of your companions, the screams of the animal, and the sickening thud of spears hitting flesh. Blood stains the ground, a stark red against the drab landscape. You are not thinking anymore. You are acting on pure instinct, a primal cocktail of fear and aggression. You are covered in sweat, dirt, and probably the animal's blood. Your muscles scream in protest, but you keep moving, keep jabbing, keep pushing. The kill is not clean. It is a slow, brutal process of attrition, of inflicting enough wounds to weaken the animal until it finally collapses from blood loss and exhaustion. And even then, as it lies on the ground, its life slowly draining away, you approach with caution, your spear ready, because you know that even in its death throes, it can still kill you. The beast is down. A collective sigh of relief and exhaustion ripples through the hunting party. The adrenaline fades, replaced by a profound, bone-deep weariness. But the work is far from over. In fact, the most crucial and laborious part has just begun, the aftermath. You have a massive, multi-ton carcass lying on the ground, and you are in the middle of a hostile wilderness, miles from your cave. Time is your enemy. The smell of blood is a dinner bell for every predator and scavenger for miles around. Wolves, hyenas, and saber-toothed cats are already on their way. You have to work fast. The first task is butchering. You pull out your stone tools, your flint knives, your hand axes, your scrapers. These are not surgical instruments. Butchering a mammoth or a bison with stone tools is a brutal, physically demanding job. You have to slice through a hide that is inches thick, tougher than any leather you've ever imagined. You saw through it, hacking and pulling, your muscles straining with every cut. Once you're through the hide, you have to dismember the carcass. You cut through thick layers of muscle and sinew, separating the limbs, the ribs, the head. You work together, a well-oiled machine born of long practice. Everyone has a role. Some cut the meat into manageable chunks, others scrape the hide, and others crack open the bones to get at the rich, life-saving marrow. The ground around you becomes a slick, bloody mess. Your hands are covered in gore, the coppery smell of blood thick in your nostrils. You are not squeamish. This is life. You save everything. The meat is for food. The hide is for clothing and shelter. The bones are for tools and weapons. The sinew is for thread, and even the stomach can be cleaned and used as a water bag. Nothing is wasted. As you work, you are constantly vigilant. Someone is always on watch, their spear ready, scanning the horizon for the first sign of an approaching scavenger. The first wolf that appears is a sign that your time is running out. The butchering becomes a frantic race against the approaching pack. You grab as much as you can, loading the heavy chunks of meat and the massive hide onto your backs or onto a crude sledge made from branches. The journey back to the cave is an ordeal. You are carrying hundreds of pounds of meat, and you are exhausted. Every step is a struggle. You move as quickly as you can, leaving the rest of the carcass to the scavengers. It's a payment, a tax to the wilderness for the gift of this kill. When you finally stumble back into the cave, you are greeted with cheers. You have brought back life. You have brought back hope. But you don't feel like a hero. You are just a man covered in blood, who has once again managed to cheat death for a little while longer. The hunt was a success. For the first time in weeks, there is meat in the cave. This is not just a meal, it's a festival, a moment of rare, unadulterated joy in a life of constant struggle. The atmosphere in the cave transforms. The gnawing anxiety of hunger is replaced by the giddy anticipation of a feast. The fire is built up, blazing high and bright. The women take over, preparing the meat. Large chunks are roasted directly over the flames, the fat sizzling and popping, filling the cave with a smell so delicious it's almost painful. The sound of dripping fat hitting the hot coals is the most beautiful music you've ever heard. Other pieces of meat are boiled in pits lined with animal hides, using hot stones dropped into the water to cook it through. The entire clan gathers around the fire, their faces glowing in the light, their eyes wide with hunger and excitement. There is no formal table, no plates, no cutlery. You eat with your hands, tearing at the hot, greasy meat with your teeth. You gnaw on ribs, you suck the marrow from cracked bones, and you lick the fat from your fingers. It's a messy, primal, and deeply satisfying experience. You eat until you are full, until your belly is tight and warm, a feeling so rare and precious that you want to savor it forever. The children, who are usually quiet and subdued, are now laughing and shouting, their faces smeared with grease. The elders tell stories of past hunts, their voices filled with pride and nostalgia. The hunters, the heroes of the day, recount every detail of the kill, their tale growing more epic with each telling. The bison was bigger, the fight was harder, their bravery was legendary. No one cares if it's exaggerated. Tonight, they have earned the right to boast. After the feast, there might be music, a simple rhythm pounded out on a log drum, a haunting melody played on a bone flute. There might be dancing, a stamping, shuffling celebration of life and survival. For this one night, you are not just a group of struggling survivors. You are a community, a family, united by the shared experience of the feast. You are safe, you are warm, and you are full. In a world of constant hardship, these moments are the reason you keep fighting. They are the memories that will sustain you through the next lean weeks, the next failed hunts, the next long, cold nights. This is not just food for the body, it's food for the soul. But what happens when the hunt fails? What happens when the trackers lose the trail? When the animal escapes? When the weather turns against you? This is the other side of the coin, the grim reality that is far more common than the celebratory feast. Failure means you return to the cave empty-handed, your body aching with exhaustion, your spirit crushed by defeat. You face the hungry eyes of your clan, the silent disappointment of the children, the worried frowns of the elders. There are no cheers, no stories, no feast. There is only the gnawing, familiar ache of hunger. Starvation is not a dramatic, sudden event. It is a slow, creeping erosion of life. The first few days without food are manageable. You drink water, you chew on strips of leather to trick your stomach, and you rely on the meager stores of dried roots and nuts that the women have gathered. But as the days turn into weeks, your body begins to consume itself. You grow weaker, your muscles atrophy, and a profound lethargy sets in. Every movement becomes a monumental effort. Your mind grows foggy. You can't think clearly. You can't concentrate. The world seems to shrink. Your entire existence reduced to the single, all-consuming desire for food. The social fabric of the clan begins to fray. Tempers grow short. Arguments break out over the smallest scraps of food. The old rules of sharing and cooperation are strained to their breaking point. The sick and the elderly are the first to go. Their bodies, already weakened, cannot withstand the prolonged deprivation. They die quietly in their sleep, and while you mourn, a dark, unspoken thought flickers in the back of your mind. One less mouth to feed. You are forced to take greater risks. The hunters go out again, this time more desperate, more reckless. They might try to take on more dangerous prey or venture into unfamiliar territory. increasing their chances of getting lost or attacked. The gatherers search for anything, even potentially toxic plants that they would normally avoid. Sometimes, in the most desperate of times, the ultimate taboo is broken: cannibalism. It's a horrifying thought, but archaeological evidence suggests it happened. Whether it was ritualistic or purely for survival, it represents the absolute limit of human endurance, the point where the rules of society collapse completely. Failure is a constant shadow, a reminder of your fragility. It teaches you humility, it teaches you patience, and it teaches you that in this world, the line between life and death is as thin as a whisper. A failed hunt is not just a missed meal. It's a step closer to the edge of extinction. Your entire world is organic. Everything you use, wear, and eat comes from the natural world, and much of it is in a constant state of decay. The concept of preservation, of making things last, is a daily, and often losing, battle against time, moisture, and microbes. Let's start with food. You've had a successful hunt and brought back a massive amount of meat. This is a blessing, but it's also a logistical nightmare. You can't just put it in the fridge. In the summer, the meat will start to rot within a day. You have to preserve it immediately. One method is drying. You cut the meat into thin strips and hang it on racks in the sun or near the fire. The sun and smoke slowly draw out the moisture, creating a tough, chewy jerky that can last for months. It's not delicious, but it's calories for the winter. Another method is freezing, if the climate allows. In the winter, you can bury chunks of meat in the snow or in a pit dug into the permafrost, creating a natural freezer. But you have to guard it carefully, as scavengers can easily dig it up. Plant foods are just as difficult to store. Nuts and seeds can be kept in leather pouches, but they are a prime target for rodents. Roots and tubers have to be kept in a cool, dry place, but the dampness of the cave often causes them to mold. Berries can be dried in the sun, but they lose much of their flavor and nutritional value. Your clothing, made from animal hides, is also in a constant state of decay. If it gets wet and isn't dried properly, it will stiffen, crack, and eventually rot. You have to constantly treat it with animal fat to keep it supple and water-resistant. Your tools are a mix of durable and disposable. A stone hand axe might last for years, but a wooden spear shaft can warp, crack, or rot. You have to constantly maintain and replace your equipment. Even your shelter, the cave, is not immune to decay. The animal hides you use to block the entrance can rot. The wooden supports for your shelters can be eaten by termites, and the constant dampness can lead to a pervasive and unhealthy mold. You live in a world that is constantly breaking down, a world where nothing is permanent. Preservation is not a matter of convenience, it's a matter of survival. Every piece of dried meat, every well-oiled hide, every carefully stored tool is a small victory against the relentless forces of entropy. It is a testament to your ingenuity and your refusal to let the world simply fall apart around you. In a world before written language, your memory is not just a personal archive, it is the collective library of your people. The stories, the knowledge, and the history of your clan are not stored on scrolls or tablets. They are stored in the minds of the elders, passed down from one generation to the next, through the sacred and powerful art of oral tradition. Every evening, as the clan gathers around the fire, the storytelling begins. This is not just for entertainment, it is the most important part of your education. An elder, his face illuminated by the flickering flames, begins to speak. His voice is a low, rhythmic chant, and his words paint pictures in the darkness. He tells the story of the clan's creation, a myth that explains where you came from and your place in the cosmos. He recounts the epic journeys of your ancestors, their triumphs and their tragedies, their great hunts and their narrow escapes. These are not just stories, they are your identity. They connect you to a lineage that stretches back through time, giving you a sense of belonging and purpose. He tells practical stories too. He describes the time the river flooded and how the clan survived by moving to higher ground. He recounts the tale of a hunter who was poisoned by a strange plant, a cautionary tale that teaches you what to avoid. These stories are a living textbook of survival, filled with hard-won lessons that have been paid for in blood. The language of these stories is rich and poetic, filled with metaphor and repetition to make it easier to remember. The storyteller might use a drum or a rattle to keep the rhythm, his body swaying as he speaks. You, as a child, listen with rapt attention, absorbing every word, every gesture, every intonation. You are not just hearing a story, you are memorizing it, preparing for the day when you will be the one to tell it. This oral tradition is a fragile thing. If a storyteller dies before they can pass on their knowledge, a part of your history is lost forever. The chain of memory is broken. That is why the elders are so revered. They are the living links to your past. And that is why you listen so carefully. You are not just a passive audience. You are an active participant in the preservation of your culture. You are a vessel for the stories, and it is your sacred duty to carry them forward, to ensure that the memory of your people does not fade into the darkness. In your world, a story is more than just words. It is a lifeline to the past and a map to the future. The world you inhabit is not silent. It is a symphony of sounds, a complex language that you must learn to read if you want to survive. Your ears are one of your most important tools, constantly scanning the environment for clues, warnings, and opportunities. In the forest, you listen for the snap of a twig that signals the movement of a deer, or the rustle of leaves that could betray the presence of a predator. You can distinguish between the sound of the wind in the trees and the sound of a large animal breathing in the undergrowth. The calls of the birds are your early warning system. A sudden, frantic chirping can mean a snake is nearby. A flock of birds taking flight in a panic can signal the approach of a large predator like a cave lion. The silence, however, is the most terrifying sound of all. When the normal chatter of the forest suddenly stops, it means something big and dangerous is moving, and everything is holding its breath. At night, in the cave, the sounds are different, but no less important. You listen to the crackle and pop of the fire, gauging its health. A steady, even burn is a comforting sound. A sputtering, dying fire is a cause for alarm. You listen to the breathing of your clan members as they sleep. A sudden cough, a wheezing breath, these are signs of illness that need to be watched. You listen to the sounds outside the cave. The howl of a wolf pack in the distance tells you where they are and how far away. The scream of a saber-toothed cat is a sound that chills you to the bone, a reminder of the terrors that lurk in the darkness. You also create your own sounds. You communicate with your hunting party using a series of clicks, whistles, or calls that mimic the sounds of animals, allowing you to coordinate your movements without alerting your prey. Around the fire, you use music not just for entertainment, but for ritual. The rhythmic beat of a drum can induce a trance state in the shaman. The haunting melody of a bone flute can be used to tell a story or to honor the spirits. Your world is a soundscape, and you are an expert listener. You are attuned to the subtle nuances of the natural world in a way that modern humans can no longer comprehend. Your survival depends not just on what you can see, but on what you can hear. In this world, to listen is to live. The concept of beauty in your world is not about symmetry, adornment, or aesthetics in the modern sense. It is about function, significance, and survival. You do not have mirrors, so you do not have a clear image of your own face. Your idea of beauty is not based on your own reflection, but on the world around you and the qualities that you value. A beautiful person is not someone with a perfect face. It is someone who is strong, healthy, and capable. A man with powerful shoulders and arms is beautiful because he is a good hunter. A woman with wide hips is beautiful because she is likely to survive childbirth. Scars are not seen as blemishes. They are seen as signs of a life lived, of dangers overcome. A person covered in scars is a survivor, And that is a thing of beauty. A beautiful tool is not one that is ornate. It is one that is perfectly balanced and effective. A flint spearhead with a razor-sharp edge and a symmetrical shape is a beautiful object because it is a masterpiece of craftsmanship and a reliable tool for survival. A well-made basket, light but strong, is beautiful because it allows the gatherers to bring back more food. Beauty is found in the elegance of function. The natural world is also a source of beauty, but again, it is tied to survival. A herd of bison thundering across the plains is a beautiful sight, not just for its power and grace, but because it represents the promise of food and life. A tree heavy with ripe fruit is beautiful because it offers sustenance. A clear, fast-flowing river is beautiful because it provides clean water. Your art, the cave paintings, reflects this worldview. You paint the animals that are most important to you, the ones that you both fear and revere. You capture their essence, their power, their life force. This is not art for art's sake. It is art with a purpose, a way of connecting with the spiritual power of the world around you. You also adorn yourselves, but not with gold and jewels. You wear necklaces made of shells, animal teeth, or carved bone. These are not just decorations. They are amulets, talismans, that are believed to hold spiritual power and protect you from harm. You might paint your body with red ochre for a ritual, not to look pretty, but to signify your connection to the life force of the earth. In your world, beauty is not a superficial quality. It is a deep and meaningful expression of life, strength, and the sacred power that flows through everything. The end of your life is not a peaceful fading into old age. It is more often than not sudden, brutal, and unceremonious. The average life expectancy in your world is around 35 years. If you make it to 40, you are a venerable elder. If you make it to 50, you are a living legend. The threats are relentless and come from all directions. One of the most common causes of death is infection. A small cut, a broken bone, a tooth obsessed, any of these can lead to a raging infection that your body cannot fight. There are no antibiotics, no sterile dressings, no understanding of germ theory. You can do everything right, be a skilled hunter and a valued member of your clan, and still be killed by a splinter. Childbirth is another great killer. It is an incredibly dangerous event for both the mother and the child. Without modern medical intervention, complications that are now easily managed at a baby in the wrong position, excessive bleeding, a postnatal infection are almost always fatal. Many women die in their 20s or 30s, in the prime of their lives, while trying to bring new life into the world. Violence is also a constant threat. As we've discussed, conflicts with other human groups over resources are common and deadly. A raid on your cave, a skirmish over a hunting ground, these can result in a swift and violent end. Even within the clan, a dispute over a mate or a challenge for leadership can end in murder. And then there are the predators. While you are intelligent and work together, you are still a relatively soft and slow-moving creature in a world of giants. A moment of carelessness, a straying too far from the group, an unlucky encounter with a saber-toothed cat or a cave bear, and your life is over in a terrifying instant of claws and teeth. Starvation is the slow, grinding death that haunts everyone. A long winter, a failed hunt, a drought that kills the plants. Any of these can lead to a period of famine where the weak, the old, and the very young simply waste away. When you die, your clan mourns you, but they cannot afford to grieve for long. Your body is treated with respect. It might be buried in a shallow grave within the cave, curled up in a fetal position, sometimes covered in red ochre and accompanied by your tools or ornaments. This is not just a disposal of the body. It's a spiritual act, a way of ensuring your safe passage to the spirit world. But life must go on. The clan cannot stop. They have to continue to hunt, to gather, to survive. Your absence is a painful void, but it is a void that will soon be filled by a new birth, a new generation that will face the same brutal realities. In your world, life is a fragile, fleeting gift. and death is a constant, familiar shadow. Let's shatter one of the most persistent myths about your life, that it was nasty, brutish, and short. A constant, miserable struggle with no redeeming qualities. While life was undeniably hard and full of dangers, it was not without its moments of joy, connection, and profound meaning. In fact, in some ways, your life might have been more satisfying than that of many modern humans. You are not plagued by the chronic diseases of modern civilization. There is no diabetes, no heart disease, no cancer caused by environmental pollutants. Your diet, while inconsistent, is organic and free of processed sugars. You are incredibly physically fit, walking miles every day and engaging in strenuous physical activity. Your body is a finely tuned machine, adapted to its environment. Your social life is also richer and more integrated than that of most modern people. You live in a tight-knit community of about 20-30 people. These are not just your neighbors. They are your family, your support system, your entire world. You are never truly alone. You share everything: your food, your shelter, your fears, and your joys. This deep sense of community provides a powerful buffer against the psychological stresses of your dangerous world. You have a profound sense of purpose. Your daily activities are not a meaningless grind to earn a paycheck. They are directly tied to the survival of yourself and your loved ones. Every successful hunt, every basket of berries, every well-made tool is a tangible victory that brings immediate and meaningful rewards. You are a vital, contributing member of your community, and your skills are recognized and valued. You also have an enormous amount of leisure time. While the hunt or the gathering trip can be arduous, it does not take up your entire day. Anthropologists estimate that hunter-gatherers only needed to work about 15-20 hours a week to secure their food. The rest of the time was spent resting, socializing, telling stories, making music, and playing. Your life is not a relentless 9-to-5 grind. It is a rhythm of intense effort followed by long periods of relaxation and social bonding. And finally, you live in a world that is spiritually alive. You have a deep, intimate connection to the natural world, a world that is not just a collection of resources, but a living, breathing entity filled with spirits and power. Your life is imbued with meaning, ritual, and a sense of wonder that has been largely lost in the modern secular world. So, was your life easy? Absolutely not. It was fraught with danger, pain, and uncertainty. But was it a miserable, joyless existence? Far from it. It was a life of deep community, clear purpose, and a powerful connection to the natural and spiritual world. It was a life that was, in its own way, rich, meaningful, and profoundly human. The modern world often looks back at your time and sees simplicity, a simple life with simple tools and simple needs. But this is a profound misunderstanding. Your life is not simple. It is incredibly complex. The knowledge and skills required to survive in your world are vast and sophisticated, far exceeding those of the average modern human. Think about the knowledge of the gatherers. They have a mental encyclopedia of hundreds of different plants. They know their names, their properties, their locations, their seasons. They know how to distinguish between edible and toxic varieties that look almost identical. They know how to process them to make them safe to eat. This is a level of botanical knowledge that would rival a modern PhD. Think about the skills of the hunters. They are master trackers, able to read the faintest signs in the landscape. They have a deep understanding of animal behavior, of anatomy, of strategy. They are expert craftsmen, able to create effective weapons from the raw materials of their environment. They are also incredible athletes, with the endurance to run for miles and the strength to bring down a large animal. Your technological skills are also highly advanced. Flint knapping is not a simple matter of banging rocks together. It is a complex and precise science that requires years of practice to master. You have to understand the physics of fracture mechanics, the properties of different types of stone, and the precise angles and forces required to create a specific tool. The cave paintings are not crude scribbles. They are masterpieces of art that demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of form, perspective, and composition. The artists who created them were not simple-minded savages. They were masters of their craft. Your social intelligence is also highly developed. You have to navigate the complex social dynamics of a small, interdependent group. You have to know how to cooperate, how to negotiate, how to resolve conflicts, and how to maintain social harmony. These are skills that are essential for the survival of the clan. The idea that you are a caveman, a grunting, club-wielding brute, is a product of arrogance and ignorance. You are Homo sapiens, the same species as a modern human, with the same brain, the same capacity for thought, language, and creativity. Your life is not simpler than a modern life. It is just different. It is a life that requires a different set of skills, a different kind of intelligence, and a different way of seeing the world. It is a life of profound complexity, and to dismiss it as simple is to fail to understand the true nature of human ingenuity. The legacy you leave behind is not one of pyramids, palaces, or written histories. It is something far more fundamental and enduring. It is etched into the very DNA of every human being who comes after you. It is a legacy of resilience, adaptability, and the quiet, stubborn refusal to be extinguished. For tens of thousands of years, you and your ancestors survived in a world that was actively trying to kill you. You endured ice ages, famines, predators, and diseases. You did it with nothing but your wits, your hands, and your unwavering commitment to your community. You were the pioneers, the explorers, the ultimate survivors. You were the one who figured out how to make fire, how to create tools, how to hunt animals many times your size. You are the one who learned the secrets of the plants, who painted the first masterpieces on cave walls, who told the first stories around a fire. You laid the foundations for everything that came after. Every city, every farm, every technological marvel of the modern world is built upon the bedrock of your survival. Without you, there is no agriculture, no civilization, no us. Your blood runs in our veins. Your ancestral memories flicker in our subconscious. Our fears of the dark, our instinct for community, our capacity for creativity, all of these are echoes of your world. You are the deep, ancient root from which the tree of humanity has grown. We may have forgotten your name, we may have misunderstood your life, but we cannot escape your legacy. It is in the way we form families, the way we tell stories, the way we gaze at the stars and wonder. It is a legacy not of what you built, but of what you endured. You did not just live in the Stone Age, you survived it. And in doing so, you gave the future a chance to exist. You are the unsung, unknown, and yet ultimate hero of the human story. And though your world has vanished, your spirit, the indomitable spirit of human resilience, lives on in us all. Let's zoom in on a single, hypothetical day. Not a day of epic hunts or disasters, but an ordinary day. This is where the texture of your life is truly found. You wake before the sun not because of an alarm, but because the cold has seeped into your bones and the gnawing in your stomach has become impossible to ignore. The fire is low, just a bed of glowing embers. It's your turn to tend it. You carefully add a few pieces of dry wood, blowing gently until a small flame catches. The rest of the clan is still a huddled mass of sleeping bodies and animal hides. You sit by the fire, the only one awake, and watch the shadows dance on the cave walls. This is a rare moment of solitude, and you cherish it. As the sun begins to rise, the cave slowly stirs. People groan, stretch, and cough. The children are the first to be fully awake, their energy a stark contrast to the weary movements of the adults. There is no formal breakfast. People chew on a strip of dried meat or a handful of last year's nuts. The plan for the day is discussed. The hunters will try their luck in the valley to the west, where a herd of deer was spotted a few days ago. The women will take the children to the south-facing slope, where the first edible spring greens are beginning to sprout. You are a tool maker. Your job today is to replenish the clan's supply of spearheads. You take your hammerstone and a few large flint nodules and find a spot near the mouth of the cave where the light is good. You work for hours, your body falling into the familiar rhythm of the craft. Strike, flake, turn, strike. Your hands are already raw, but you ignore the pain. A group of children gather to watch you, their eyes wide with a mixture of fascination and fear. You show them how to hold the hammerstone, how to find the right angle. This is their school. In the afternoon, the women return, their baskets half full of bitter greens and a few starchy roots. It's not much, but it's something. They set about preparing the food, crushing the roots with a stone and mixing them with water to make a thin, gritty porridge. The hunters return at dusk, empty-handed. The deer were spooked by a wolf pack. There is a palpable sense of disappointment in the cave, but no one complains. This is normal. You will eat porridge tonight, and you will be grateful for it. As darkness falls, the clan gathers around the fire. The food is shared out, everyone getting an equal portion. After the meal, one of the elders begins to tell a story. It's a familiar one, the tale of how the trickster spirit stole fire from the sky gods. You've heard it 100 times, but you listen anyway. The words and the rhythm, a comforting balm in the cold, dark night. You feel a sense of belonging, of safety, of shared humanity. This is your life. It is a life of hardship, yes, but it is also a life of purpose, community, and moments of quiet grace. You are not a savage. You are a human being, living a life of profound complexity and meaning, and you are doing the one thing that matters above all else. You are surviving.